Great. Hey, everybody. I don't know if we still want folks to trickle in a bit more, but I know some folks just arrived, I think. Welcome, everyone who is just joining us. I'm going to present, as Dave showed in his welcome talk, the conference attendees are almost evenly split between people who have been experienced developers or admins or users of XNAT versus people who are coming here brand new, or at least they identify as just getting started, and so this talk is geared a little bit towards the just getting started folks. And it's just going to be a quick little highlight. What can you do in XNAT? For those of you who have been using it, there will not be a lot of new news here, but we're just going to. I thought it would just be a nice way of kind of bridging, the beginning of the workshop, and as we get into the talks that Tim and Kate are going to do in terms of what's next and what's on the roadmap, or what's new, I should say, and what's on the roadmap. I thought it would be just a nice foundational piece. So first, just a little bit about me. So I officially joined the team in 2010. As Dan alluded earlier, I've kind of tangentially been involved in the XNAT world before that. My background is actually in creating information graphics and just condensing complex information and making it visually presentable. I only accidentally became a web app developer. It just kind of, actually my first website was building a football pool because I got tired of exchanging emails and managing spreadsheets. So there's got to be a better way to lose my money. And so I built that was my first experience. And now I am a product owner at Flywheel after having spent 12 years at WashU School of Medicine. And just a fun fact, I was last in England in 1985. It was a long family trip up and down the canals and whatnot. I spent like maybe a day in London. So this really is a lot of brand new to me because I barely remember being 12, So there's that. So we're just going to talk about what can you do with XNAT. What are the core functionalities? And this is by no means exhaustive. There's actually quite a lot you can do with XNAT, but just in terms of the core use cases, what do we want to be able to do? And first and foremost, the first letter in XNAT is extensible. What you want to be able to do is add to it and customize it and make it your own thing, potentially to support your workflows and your research. And so there's the core levels of data management, but there are these functionalities like the OHIF viewer, like being able to authenticate through a remote LDAP or OpenID authentication system, or being able to run processes through Docker containers, and just supporting additional data types, adding to the UI. I mean, there's many ways that you can create plugins or add plugins to make XNAT into your thing. And then in terms of organizing the data, I mean, XNAT has a project-based permissions set. The user controls around XNAT in terms of who has access to what are governed by putting data into projects and then governing who has access and what kind of access to those projects. So you can define what this project is about, what your data set is about. You can determine who gets to see it at a broad level. Is it private to you and your users, or is it public to every user in XNAT? You can set custom roles and invite people to join your system and such. So that's where the core of managing your data is at the project level. And then when it comes to populating data in your project, you want to add subjects, whether that's a human subject or otherwise. And Andy Lassiter is going to present later on today on customizing XNAT for handling mouse subjects or non-human subjects, which is going to be a very interesting talk. You can add clinical tabular data and imaging data with DICOM files or non-DICOM files as well. And really, as Dan kind of talked about in his talk, I mean, the core thing that XNAT was built to do that no other system at that time did was to be able to marry up your clinical and imaging and assign it to the same subject and track everything all in one system. And so it creates kind of a complex stew under the hood in terms of managing files and managing databases, data tables and whatnot, but somehow we try to make it as pretty and as seamless as possible. When it comes to the imaging itself, obviously one of the core things that are on researchers' mind is anonymization or de-identification. There's many ways and avenues that you can do that through DICOM edit and whatnot, and we even support now pixel editing for removing burned-in PHI, and there's going to be a demonstration on that later on in this workshop. There are avenues to get data into your XNAT just from locally, using a desktop client or using scripts, or you can connect your system to a PAX and pull data down or have data pushed to it. Basically, if it's out there, XNAT wants it, and we try to find ways for you to get it. And then once you have your imaging, I'm going to give just a quick tease here. You want to be able to view that imaging, and you want to be able to do cool stuff in the viewer. And Simon and Mo from NCETA are going to be giving a series of demos on what you can do with the OHIF viewer in XNAT currently. And it's continually emerging, very exciting stuff. And also, just in terms of some of the Flywheel functionality that is out there as well. I mean, there's some really cool stuff happening in their viewer. Eventually, those things could hopefully merge together and just create just a really expansive experience. But at the very least, you can view your images, you can QC images, you can annotate images, and you can use and any annotation that you create can then be stored back into your project and associated with those experiments. And then once you have a whole bunch of data, are we recording, Dave? Good. Once you have your data in your system, you want to be able to do science with it. You want to be able to create comparisons and find cohorts and do searches and build reports and write papers and publish them and do all those sorts of things. And XNAT has a series of search capabilities, data table things. We're going to be demoing just a little bit of this, but I think the exciting stuff that's happening here is in the kind of the advanced sort of, and I'll get this merging between this slide and the next slide here. We're getting into processing your data, but you can build algorithms using something like Jupyter Notebooks, where you're going to literally use your data as a playground almost. I think of it as a playground anyways, but I went to art school, so maybe some people here are a little bit more scientific about it. But the idea that you can build these algorithms and then create repeatable science by containerizing it and having your process run the same way on many different types of data on many different systems and getting a predictable, reliable outcome. And then the end goal is to be able to share and publish your data. Not just our commitment to not just building open source application, but we're also very committed to the idea of data itself being open, data being publishable, and data being shareable with the world. We are continuing to advance this. There are ways of doing it now with XNAT. We want to make it even easier. We want to make it better. So this is something that's going to be featured on the roadmap in Kate's talk. And the concepts of federated data and discoverable data across multiple XNAT systems. We'll be having a whole panel discussion about that. So it's a rich topic. I mean, it's something that we want to continue to expand on. And then we also just at a basic level support getting it. So once someone has published data and put it out there, then it's almost like the circle of life at this point. Someone gets to download it, they get to do things that they want. They might upload it to their own XNAT, and there's a circular or cyclical effect that can happen here. Harmonious, perhaps? Dan says no, maybe not. Circle of Life. All right, I'll stick with that. It's got a good song. And you can download not just the imaging, but you can get your experiment data. You can get the XML if you want to do some fun programming stuff with it. And that's basically, I mean, there's a lot more. There's a lot more that can be done, but I wanted to kind of just give this thing. And and starting tomorrow, we're going to be moving away from slides and moving towards and actually showing XNAT in action. And one thing that we wanted to bring up is that we're going to be running a series of AWS-hosted XNAT VMs for people that are new, especially that want to get a taste on XNAT and didn't necessarily bring their own. I'm just out of curiosity, and we're going to approach this a bit more scientifically here. But who in the room would love to have access to a hosted XNAT instance for this workshop? Yeah, so Rick, there's your number. And so we're going to be sending out a Google form if we can spin up a number of instances. If you have shared groups, you want to have like one XNAT for your team, we can set up that. If you want to join up with, just form a random team, or if you want your own, to do development work, we'll send a form out, and we'll spin up between today and tomorrow. And so let's see, am I at time? Tim, are you ready to jump up here? Or does anyone have any questions before we transition? No? Good? Cheers.